December of 2012, a group of Long Beach African American leaders had the privilege of attending a meeting downtown Los Angeles hosted by the California Endowment. The objective was to get sincere feedback on the newly launched Building Healthy Communities project in Long Beach. More specifically, the goal was to explore how the African American community could be more involved in an impactful manner with this historical initiative. As a result of that one-day meeting, participants left inspired with a sense that something special could happen in our city if the African American community strategically rallied around this opportunity. For the next 12 months, facilitated meetings were held in Long Beach at the Long Beach Community Action Partnership offices. Of the many outcomes that were accomplished, the most important initial success was the State of Black Long Beach document co-authored by Dr. Alex Norman and Dr. Lydia Holly. The State of Black Long Beach was labeled a call to action for a Black agenda in Long Beach. It provided significant insight on important demographic, health, and educational, as well as socioeconomic issues for all of Long Beach to review and consider. The presentation of this document was shared before a packed house of engaged citizens in 2013, and from that day forward, committed citizens continued to meet to address some of the many issues that were shared.
Well, initially, when I first became aware of the program and I went to the first meeting, I was very happy, of course, that we are going to get some special attention, but it was for the central area. It seemed like it was targeted only for the central area. And having lived in Long Beach for a while, I realized that there'd been a shift in the population, and so a large segment of the African American community no longer lived in the central area. And so I was very pleased to get an audience with the endowment and others so that there's some adjustments could be made so it could become a little bit more inclusive, because I thought it was a fantastic idea and the principles of a healthy community are needed everywhere.
A really great facilitator gives as well as gets, and I learned an awful lot about this whole process, and I was a beneficiary of the process. I think what really matters an awful lot are three things, particularly when you're talking about professional facilitation. It's about what the people desire, the participants desire. It's about what you're able to give in terms of resources, and then it's about what the participants are capable of doing. And so when you can bring those three things together, that's really what great facilitation is all about. It's allowing people to be able to meet their desires, meet their needs, and also be able to leverage the resources that they all bring to the room together. And then it's about the resources outside of that room that come to bear to really help provide a foundation for what goes on. I'm actually really excited about the prospects of the future of Long Beach as a city, not just about the Black community of Long Beach. There's been a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice, a lot of emotional commitment made to trying to reach forward and to help move the overall community forward. It's about building healthy communities. And as with all groups and organizations, when you bring disparate entities together, diversity can be a promise, and it can be a bit of a challenge as well. But the idea is to get everyone to sort of coalesce around an incredible common vision, if you will. And that vision really outlasts the players. So people will come and go. But if they continue to maintain their level of commitment and their level of focus and their level of discipline to the process, I think it's going to fly. And I'm just so much looking forward to 5 years from now, 10 years from now, seeing great things.
The African American Convening Committee is important to Long Beach because, number one, we've had a need for the community to come together, especially the African American community. We've been here for a while, but we've been a little bit fragmented. And so this whole committee and this whole process has been instrumental in bringing the community back together. My experience has been both interesting and amazing. I've had the opportunity to be on the larger committee, but even in the planning process for the event, for the release of the State of Black Long Beach. And between the two of those, meeting with the larger group and the intimate group, I've not only formed some great new relationships, but I've been informed of information with regards to the history of Long Beach that I had no clue existed. So it's been very interesting. It's been very instrumental now in how I think, my perspective of Long Beach. how I'll do business in Long Beach, and even in greater increasing my passion to do more things in the city of Long Beach.
The African American Coordinating Council project is really important to Long Beach because Long Beach has never really had an enclave or convention of blacks to really think through what some of the critical issues are in Long Beach. It's been instead a community that has been really passive and has been reacting to whatever city government or city fathers wanted, and has never really initiated on its own an agenda. So I see it as really critical to the future of blacks in Long Beach, whose numbers are incidentally declining as a percentage of the population.
Well, personally, being part of a process that's developing those qualities that we can bring in other people in the community to begin to understand the value and bring out the best in them to contribute to the whole quality of life in the community.
The reason why this project is important to the city of Long Beach is because it's giving African American leaders an opportunity to come together and sit at the table and talk about the issues that are the plight of the black community, as well as identify the reasons and come up with solutions to making a change. The reason it's important to me is because I'm a mother of 3 children, and when I want to know that they're going to have a better future. When I look around and see what's going on with the youth today, I'm constantly thinking, what can I do to properly prepare my children? So when I'm sitting at the table with all of these leaders, I'm there because I want to make sure that whatever policy changes that are discussed are going to be in the best interest of my children.
I was seduced by Long Beach. I came as a consultant to help the city develop its Empowerment Zone program back in 1997, 1998. And I was really somewhat seduced by the smallness of the city. You know, I remember Bev O'Neill saying, it's large enough so you can get lost, but it's small enough so you can get your arms around it. And I really felt that if you really wanted to get something done, it could happen in the city. So I encouraged my wife to relocate from Pacific Palisades in LA to Long Beach. And then I got here, and as I began to interact in and around the city, I got a sense of a feeling of a plantation atmosphere where decisions just got made and then they were handed down, and the community wasn't involved in the decisions at all. And so for me, the personal benefit of this project is that people whose lives are affected by city governmental policy will have something to say about how that policy, or how those policies are developed. So it's kind of an empowering process for me.
The endowment is investing in this group and in the project of this group, and that's not just confined to the Central and West area. So I think that the fact that we are supporting the ethnic configuration of this group, because we feel like it's really important, and we, will continue to support this group, should hopefully assuage some of those concerns.
Well, I thought that we had a fantastic group of people, but they didn't know Long Beach. The actual people who were the organizers didn't know Long Beach as well as those of us who lived in Long Beach. I thought there was definitely a noted absence of African American leadership at the early meetings. And so I felt that I didn't think it was intentional. I thought it was just that they were selected on a map, and they looked at the central area and they saw King Park and other things that would give you the impression that there was a large African American community, and it was selected. We needed to make some adjustments, even though it's very much needed in the central, the attention is still needed in the central area. I think it's been addressed very effectively. I think the CAP agency has been an excellent place for us to launch this program. And I also see a slow unification of all ethnic groups in the process. I think that we're all beginning to be teammates on trying to help move Long Beach forward.
I would like us to get larger and work ourselves out of business, that the quality of life becomes equal to all qualities of life, that we raise the standard and raise the abilities and employability and the vision for all in the community. Housing, employment, education, when there's parity along the line for everyone.
My ideal would be for the group on Saturday to begin to develop an agenda for Black people in Long Beach. City government, historically, has simply not been interested. As a matter of fact, city government has been kind of indifferent to neighborhoods in general, but particularly to low-income neighborhoods and ethnic neighborhoods. And so the East Side gets much more attention, and downtown gets much more attention. So the consequence is that Central, West, North Long Beach really doesn't get into the mix. And what I would like to see is for the Black leadership to take the helm and create for itself what would be a Black agenda. Now that means taking a look at education to see what can we as a community do to help improve the academic performance of our children. I think the school system is doing about as much as it can do, and given the cuts in education, they're not likely to have any more money to push things forward. So we have to reframe the problem in terms of a community problem rather than an educational problem. And there are some things that we can do about dropouts, in the community. There are some things that we can do about increasing the academic performance of our children as measured by the California Standards Test and the community. We don't have to wait for the schools to do this. So my ultimate wish list would be for Long Beach to develop a sense of community around mutual aid and self-help. That when the problems are challenged to us, that we approach them as a collective rather than as a group of individuals. Now that's a major wish, but then I never thought we'd even get this far. So who knows? I think the sky's the limit as far as what we can achieve as long as people are willing to do it together. My hope would be that as the Black community faces this challenge, they will recognize that these problems have developed historically over a long period of time, and they're not going to be solved easily. And in so many cases, communities will get frustrated and give up. And I hope that this doesn't happen because of the importance it has for future generations, not just for Black Long Beach residents, but for residents in general.
The African American Convening Committee is really dear to my heart. One, I'm a Long Beach native, and I've had the opportunity to travel many places and to be involved in many things outside of the city. So to have something that's related or right here in my hometown that's this key to bringing the community together, it's very dear to my heart. It's more than an interest or something to just be on board for the time being. It's something that I believe is not only historical, but it's something that can go down in the history books as well as in my heart to carry on to the next generations.
Important for generations to come. My sentiments exactly, which is why I personally, along with other individuals and agencies, have been committed over recent years to the success of the African American Convening Committee. There are many leaders in our community that we were unable to interview over the last few years for this presentation. However, we feel that those you have heard from sincerely capture the essence and vision for the African American Convening Committee. One thing is for sure, we are one city, one body as it were. And if there is any great accomplishment to be made in the African American community of Long Beach, it is an accomplishment for the entire city of Long Beach. We encourage you to get involved regardless of where you sit at this moment and make a positive difference. Thanks to Jenny Chang and the California Endowment, along with the Long Beach BHC staff for their support and commitment to long-term success of efforts such as the AACC. And thanks to all of those that have attended any AACC meeting or function. Your support and action has and will continue to make a positive difference.